Hi, I'm Laura Wallace from the Green Couch Project, and you're joining us with our very first live cross-country interview with Dan Fowler, CEO of Imagination IQ. Thanks for being with us, Dan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is
Yeah.
really fun.
Always fun. Business is
Yeah.
fun. So first, I want to congratulate you on being a risk taker and being one of those people that stepped out of the norm and did your own thing. You know, it takes a lot of guts to do that. So congratulations on being one of those people.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I try to
So
be different.
that's what entrepreneurship is all about.
Yeah, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your business. Tell us what you do.
Yeah, well, my background is actually in media production. So for the last almost 21 years, I've been in audio, video, radio, television. And I have another company, and I still own this company. Red River Productions is my production company. And so I was doing a lot of film and television, a lot of commercials, things like that. And then it kind of transformed into working with business owners, looking for corporate commercials or marketing videos, things like that. And for a long time, that's what I was doing, probably the last 10 years or so. And then I realized, though, that I was, even though really skilled in those areas, me personally, was called to do something more. And the technical skills, and I was becoming a technician. That was all I was, and I felt I had more to me, and I was struggling with that. And I finally realized I just need to embrace it, jump forward, and start some new trends. I was seeing trends in the industry. When I say the industry, meaning like speaker and entrepreneur industry and speaker industry, that were kind of troubling to me and really kind of made me standoffish to it because it was just the same old, same cookie cutter type of format coming out. And I felt like it could be done better. And at the same time, getting my messaging out of how I work with clients, my video production clients or any client, on how to take their imagination and engineer it powerfully and profitably into the world. So I kind of stepped away from Red River Productions as the hands-on guy. I still own it, and I'm still supervising director over there, but it's not my day-to-day. My day-to-day now is all about creating platforms that break the norms that are out there. Not because I want to just break things. It's because I'm looking for the things that aren't serving people the most. And we, myself included, we call ourselves like conscious entrepreneurs, but I feel like we're delivering this content in a very unconscious way. And so that was a very big disconnect for me. And I wanted to shift that to be able to create a platform where we were allowing more conscious, co-creative, and collaboration to happen in that arena. And so I created Imagination IQ, using both sides of the brain, imagination, the IQ, left and right brain side, and having them, instead of war against each other, actually work together very, very well, so you can bring those things to the world that are floating around in your head in a powerful and profitable way. And that's what I've been doing with clients for years, is how to take their idea and turn it into something tangible, turn it into something that they can market or profit from if they're so desire. And now I'm bringing this to the masses to be able to teach people these processes. And I do it in an arena that is not the traditional event model, which is, to me, the traditional event model is you go to a hotel room, a big ballroom, you sit in a hotel chair for hours at a time, you have breaks at a certain time, you have a stage up there, and so there's lots of speakers, and by the end of the event, you're just exhausted. And I wanted to flip that around. I wanted to change how we approached events as not just a glorified networking place, but as a place where we are there to have rapid transformation, and we can actually propel our business, not just get information to go and spend more money to hopefully propel our business. So that's where Imagination IQ came from, and I corralled a whole bunch of people with me to help me produce this, and now out of it we have created a system or a curriculum model to help other entrepreneurs actually create what I call ultra event experiences. So
Okay.
they are how to train them and how to create these events so they can have the impact that we had at Imagination IQ with our first event and our second event coming up too. and how they can do that with their content and bring people in a co-creative, collaborative space so they can start really having a conscious conversation where it's not just conscious in thought, but it's actual conscious in action and community as well.
Okay, very good. So I'm sure there's some passion behind that. You do what you do for a reason. What is that reason?
I do what I do. Well, I feel it's the word. It may sound trite to some, but I feel called. I feel a calling in specific areas. There's some areas I'm not called in at all, but this one in particular, especially with people's imagination, I as a kid was always squashed. My imagination was squashed by my parents and the environment I was around. My imagination was a bad thing. It was like a sign that I wasn't growing up. I was like Peter Pan, I didn't want to grow up. And maybe in some cases that was true, but I found over time that I had squelched it. I thought that was the way to do it. I have to push down the imagination because now I have to be practical or realistic or get a real job. We've all heard those things. And so I've decided that, well, that's my biggest problem, is that I'm squelching my imagination. And I've realized that people do not know how to use their imagination because this is a societal norm that parents, and it's not like because they're bad parents, they just want the best for their kids, but they think that it's the hard work and getting the real job and the 9 to 5 and the whatever, that's the way that their kids are going to succeed. And that's not always the case. Nothing wrong with that, but it's not always the case. And for me, it definitely wasn't the case. That I realized that I was squelching my biggest asset, which was my imagination. And in doing so, I was actually causing lots of turmoil in my life. For years, from my 20s and my 30s, I was just like, wow, I have these fanciful thoughts, but I am causing havoc and chaos around me. And it's because I'm trying to blend two systems together that are not compatible. The traditional, meaning be practical and be rational, and the other one is like, let's tap into the imagination first and then start bringing that into the world. I started having the belief of just that I wasn't important. I had no self-worth with my imagination, that I was just pretending. And that word is a very dangerous word. I've always heard it from my parents. Stop pretending. Stop pretending. Get your head out of the clouds. And I realized that that is the exact place that I need to be. It's in my head in the clouds and pretend. Because the pretending is an echo of what can happen. So, Einstein talking about imagination is more powerful than knowledge. It's true. It's not that imagination itself is going to do anything. It's about imagination is the catalyst in which you can engineer your awesomeness into the world. And once I realized that, I was like, man, I want to spend all day long in daydream land and be able to come back down out of the clouds and then implement. And so it's the balance between the two. Hence, my programs are geared around imagination and engineering, imagination IQ. So it's both sides. You've got to have a great, strong imagination and actually know what that means and be able to translate it powerfully into your engineering side, which is your delivery system. I call it like it's your manufacturing plant and then your distribution center. So your imagination, your manufacturing plant, you're getting everything ready to go, all the conveyor belts, you see it clearly, and then you build the locales that you have to distribute out to. So that's two different segments, and that's the engineering part. So my passion behind it is I was told that my imagination was a bad thing, that I needed to grow up and that I needed to become a man. And I realized later on in life that I wasn't being the man I was called to be, because I was squelching my imagination. It was the exact opposite. And so I'm bringing this message to others as well, that it's okay to tap into your imagination, to actually embrace it and sit with it and actually play with it, that your dreams are possible. Anything is possible. And the reason why things don't come to be is because we don't put the thought energy, the emotion energy, and the engineering energy behind it because of societal stories, our own stories saying that's not possible, or I shouldn't do that, that's bad, that's wrong. And I want to change that paradigm and that way of thinking.
Very nice. I love that you essentially went against the grain and created something out of nothing, and really just the whole basis around your business is non-traditional. So I'm sure along the way you've had some naysayers, some people that are like, Dan, what are you doing?
Yes.
How do you deal with those people or those situations?
I guess this is one thing I'm very thankful for in growing up is that my father and my mother were the biggest naysayers of pretty much everything creative that I was doing. And I understand why later on. I mean, I'll share this quick story. But my dad was a aerospace engineer. So he worked on satellites that went up in the space shuttle and all of that stuff. But what I didn't realize until later is that he was actually going to school for being a commercial artist. He's a
Oh.
really good artist, painting and sketching and drawing, and he actually wanted to have that be his career. And he was going through school and he was seeing other people in his class who he thought were better than he was, not getting jobs in the commercial artist industry, and that scared him. So he thought, well, if they're not getting jobs, then I'm not going to get a job. So I'm going to revert back to my training for the military and get back into electronics. And he diverted his path to be practical and rational in his thinking. Now, there's nothing wrong with that choice per se, but in hindsight, I believe he actually threw away his passion, his true passion, and his love and joy for being on this planet, his calling, because he felt drawn there. But he got scared because of the practicality, the environment around him, or what he perceived to be the environment around him, and he chucked it. And that story he started to implant, or I guess project, towards me and towards the rest of my brother and sister. So that was something that I always received, that every time I went towards the creative field, he got scared because he saw himself. He saw himself and said, no, Dan, you can't do that. That's, dangerous. You got to be practical. And that was his story. And in years and years, I had that on my story. So he was a big naysayer. And so when I hear it now, I hear it from other entrepreneurs or other people who do events. I actually heard it for Imagination IQ, our event in last April. You can't do that. I actually heard that phrase at least 3 times. You can't do that. And really what they're saying is, if you do that, I don't know what will happen to my business. I don't know what will happen because I am sheltered by my cookie cutter event model. And if you do that, they know that it will be successful, and they don't want me to do it because that will cause them to have to change. That will cause their model to have to be tweaked a little bit. And that's really what I'm looking for, is not for me to overtake, event industry, but to have a different alternative perspective on this. We can do a better job. If we're conscious business owners and conscious leaders in our industry, we can do a better job. And unfortunately, I come across lots of entrepreneurs who do good work, but they don't want to do a better job. They want to stay pretty. They want to make sure the income streams are going and their funnels are going. I'm like, nothing wrong with that. Let's do a better job. And so the naysayers to me, I'm saying, well, I value your opinion, but I would ask you to reserve your judgment until after the event. And then that's what I said all 3 of those times. I value your opinion, but I would ask you to reserve your judgment until after the event. And then if I fall flat on my face, then you can tell me I told you so. And if I don't, then let's have a conversation and see maybe how we can help each other and support each other. So I leave it very positive like. So I try not to cut cords with people if I can, but if they're adversarial, then of course I'm gonna get them out of my space. They weren't. They were just, I could tell they were scared about the situation because it's so new and it's so cool to them. They didn't want to admit that they would want to be in the audience. That's what's really scared them. So that's the word I was feeling intuitively. They never told me that, but this is what I felt intuitively, and so I reacted accordingly. Like, I'm not going to back them into a corner or cause an argument. It's just, it is what it is. They have their belief system, their story, but I'm not going to allow their story to be implanted on me like I had before with my parents and others growing up. I'm going to allow their story to be their story, and I'll say, hey, before you write the end of your story, just wait till the end of my event, and then you can write the end of your story. And actually, I've turned a couple people's minds around on that since the event, because they're like, oh my God, it actually worked, and they were relieved, but also a little scared at the same time. And I'm like, let's have a call, let's have a conversation. I'll show you what I'm doing. And so, moving on from there, I try to try to set the stage for always for the future events. So that's how I deal with it.
That's great. I love your positive twist on everything. You take any situation and make a positive out of it, and
Well, I
that's
try. I'm a human, so I have some reactions too. They're like, "What the hell?" but um, but yes, I try after I've cooled down with some of those situations. Like, all right, how do I turn this, or how do I make this a shift? And a true shift is really, I believe that a obstacle and an opportunity are totally connected together. Every obstacle has an opportunity, and every opportunity has an obstacle. So it's a matter of my trajectory towards it. So if you're thinking like this thing's flying at you through space, and all you see is the obstacle, well, how do I change my trajectory so I can latch onto the opportunity on the backside and use its momentum to keep going? That's what I look for. And sometimes that's not possible. Sometimes you just have to divert all the way off to the way and let it fly past you. In other ways, you can flip that in many ways. And that's part of the imagination engineering piece too, is that people get stuck. They're like, oh, my ideas, and now I'm stuck on what to do. Well, they're stuck in an obstacle that's either self-proclaimed or self-put there, or somebody else's story is putting in their way, and they're creating an obstacle. And I help them with the blocks so they can actually latch on to the opportunity.
right. Very
Yeah.
nice. So, as an innovator, you have to surround yourself with people that push you. So, what types of people or situations do you surround yourself with to help propel you into the future?
Well, I surround myself with people who are awesome at things I suck at.
Good advice. Very good
Yeah,
advice.
yeah, and delegation really. It's just delegation, not so much in the sense of a supervisory role, but like, hey, you're awesome at that, and I can dabble in it. So why don't you come and help me with this, and I'm going to help you in certain ways too. So it's always co-creating. How can we co-create together? And in co-creating, there becomes this level of responsibility that I have, and so do the people I work with too. That we have to, I guess, we have to hold each other up. There is accountability there as well, but it's really about I'm looking for ways to build you up, and at the same time, they're looking for ways to build me up. And that's a different mindset than, well, how do I build my business? And I don't look at it that way. I look
Right.
at it, how do I build everybody else's business? And in turn, how do I make their businesses at least in part connected to my business? So the pieces that I'm building up are good for them, but they're also good for me. So in turn, it will eventually build my total business up. But I've got all these cells around me, if you will, if you want to look at it. Like I'm the center cell, and there's all these cells around me. And they're looking to build me up because I can serve them better when I'm stronger. So it
Right.
goes both ways. It's like this cyclical thing. So I surround myself with people who are better than me in many ways, and I also I surround myself with people who are willing to tell the truth, just be honest, not to blow smoke in my face or just to say be a yes man, a yes woman, but actually say, Dan, I don't agree with that. I want to hear that. I want to say I don't agree with that, and this is why. Now I may not take their advice. I may still think no, this is where we're going, and they're actually fine with it. That's the other piece, that they can say their input, give their opinion, and I can say thank you, but I don't use it, and they're cool with it. That's the other piece. But I want them to be truthful and honest, and a lot of times they'll say something, I'm like, you're right, that needs to be added in there. Thank you for that. And we affirm each other in those ways. So people that are willing to give fully of themselves, not just of their skills, but of themselves to the process, and vice versa, and be able to be okay with not the pieces that were given of themselves not to be used in this moment. Maybe they'll be used later, but not right now. Those people are hard to come by, but I found that when you become that person, when I become that person, I'm willing to speak the truth and just go, boom, here it is, and be willing to be fully invested in the process. I start attracting those people as well. So that's kind of who I surround myself with.
Awesome. Wonderful. So this is a question that always gets people.
Okay.
A younger version of Dan sits down
Mhm.
next to you right now. What advice would you give him?
Start sooner. Well, the advice would be stop being distracted by the mundane. Stop being distracted by the shiny object, or like in the movie Up, squirrel. Don't be distracted by that. Those are all great, bling, flashy things, but be true to your calling. And even back in the younger self, I knew what my calling was, but I was afraid, fear and doubt, I was afraid that to bring it out because of societal judgment, parent judgment, I'm wrong, I'm bad, I'm whatever. And so I would say to my younger self, be true to yourself and speak the truth whenever possible, whenever you're given that opportunity to do so, if somebody asks your opinion. And don't settle. Do not settle on your calling. Because if you settle on your calling, you'll only get a watered-down, diluted version of it in your life, and therefore you'll get a watered-down version of happiness and joy. Mm. So if you want that, then go ahead and be distracted. But if you don't, take the time to really devote to it, no matter what other people say. No matter what other people say, what other people think, no matter if they hate you, because they will. They will. There'll be people that hate you, and there'll be people that love you. And if you're doing it right, there'll be no people that are like, about you. Mm. It'll either be one or the other. So be totally fervent about your calling and go all the way for it, because you can fail at a lot of things, but I would rather be failing in the process of growing in your calling than doing something that to please somebody else. So you're here to enrich yourself with joy and happiness, and in turn you become a brighter light for others, so you can start serving them in a powerful way to give them light. And that's really what I would tell my younger self. Me, I feel like I started a little later than normal, but on that, or just I had issues clogging my way. Now I'm clear on that, and I would have loved to have had 10 more years to be running on that track. But so it is. It's not supposed to be that way, too. I just want to reiterate on that question. It's a cool question to ask, kind of what would I tell my younger self? But I wouldn't be able to do the things I do now and teach the people I teach now unless I went through the garbage and the crap that I put myself in, that I got trouble in, that I pissed people off, and I learned from, made bad business mistakes, had failures. I would not be able to have the frame of reference, the kindness, the love, and actually the understanding in relation to the clients I serve and the people that I work with, that if I didn't go through those. So, yeah, so there's a if and on that. Yes, I would have loved to have started earlier, but I don't regret the process that I've gone through to this point. It is what it is, and it's all good. And it's about changing that obstacle or people's perception into that awesomeness. And if other people's perceptions are other people's perceptions, it's just about me and being true to me. And those that are gravitating to what I do and what my message is, they'll follow. I'm not worried about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's something amazing about the timing of life, when things are supposed to happen, and, obviously you weren't supposed to start this journey until a little bit later, and that's okay, but you're in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and I'm still here. There was many times in my life that I've almost died. I mean, actually several, which is quite interesting for one guy, right? But several times where I should have been dead. But I wasn't. So there's something else for me to do here. I'm supposed to be doing something, and I'm supposed to use those examples and those experiences to help others, to know where other people are coming from. So it's all good.
Perfect. So it sounds like your life has taken an amazing turn for the better. You've lived the experiences, you've been through it all. So how is your life better from taking that initial risk-taking moment, taking that leap of faith and starting your business?
Yeah, well, better in the sense that, yes, this is me. When I look at what I'm doing with Imagination IQ and the Ultra Event trainings, it's like a mirror back at me, a reflection back to me, and I see myself. Whereas in the other work that I've done, it was like, oh, that's cool, but I never received the reflection back like, that's me, that's Dan. And with this work, that's me. That's all about me. I could do it 24/7 and not be tired with it. It just bubbles out of me. that kind of work and the messaging behind it, and I could do this forever. And it was the right time, the right now. I mean, even looking at it, even if I tried Imagination IQ, let's say 5 years ago, it probably would have failed. And just from the climate and the situation, it's the right time for it. People are ready for it, and I just so happen to be the one that's called to bring some of this to the world. So there you go. Yeah, I don't think there's. I think it's just a journey. You know, it's a constant journey. I don't think I have experienced my last heartache or my last bad day or anything like that. It's not like I'm in nirvana on cloud nine or anything. It's I realize my position in the world, and that's important. So I don't push anymore. I don't do any more pushing. I don't say, oh, what do I want to go and grab and achieve and struggle for? No, none of that. I don't do that anymore. I do. It's a process called the gravity well for me. You've heard about like throwing out intentions and that type of thing, which is great. But I don't believe in throwing intentions out into the universe. I believe in ingraining the intentions within your body. And like you become this like lightning rod. You become so energetically dense that the things you intend to create are drawn to you. And this is the law of attraction. This is for me the true law of attraction. It's not about throwing a fishing line out and hoping to get a fish. It's about I am going to create this whirlpool so strong that no fish can avoid going into my vortex. And so that's what I'm starting to do. It's like I just detach from the situation, not in the sense of doing, of course I do things, but I detach in the sense that I am not connected to the outcome. I am not connected to it. I'm just like, here I am. I'm going to be honest, true, and here's my truth, here's my intention, here's what I intend to create, and I'm going to be that. I'm going to be that person, that lightning rod, and I'm going to draw the things, the resources, the money to me to be able to accomplish the things I intend to create. And I, over and over again, I tell my clients this too. It's about manifesting, this word manifesting, bringing into being. You never manifest what you want, ever. You never manifest what you want. You always manifest who you are. And when you get that, it's like, okay, I want to be the best I can be, because when I am, that's when I attract all the other elements to me. That's when it's like, oh, our frequency or our magnetic polarity goes, oh, we're supposed to go together. And then those quote-unquote magical things happen. But it's because you are being strong and grounded and so energetically dense that the gravity between the bodies is unsurmountable. Yeah. So that's what, for me, it's just what's the next step, and sit into that. Jump into my gravity well with that. And I do that in life, and I do that in business, and more, I'm teaching others how to do that as well with their life and with their business, because I think they go hand in hand, life and business. Not so much like the finance stuff, but it's like the mental attitude between how you work in life and the stories you have there, and those stories translate into business too. So if you can't rewrite this story in life, then you're going to transfer that over into business, and you're going to have a lack mentality, you're going to have a limiting belief system, and therefore you'll have a limiting profit base with your business. And they all are connected that way. So when we are able to rewrite that, we can suck into our gravity well and bring in the things we intend to create.
Perfect. We're going to close with one final question. And what advice you would give for aspiring entrepreneurs, people that are sitting there and they know that they've got something that they are called to do? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, well, first off, just to say in affirmations that you are never alone, ever. And however you want to take that, that's fine, but I'll just talk in the physical realm at this moment. There is someone that everyone knows that if you shared your dream with them, they would be on board, just like that. Everyone knows one person like this. And then you might be people watching this going, well, I don't know anybody like that. You do. So it's really about sitting in and meditating on that. Who is that person? Second is start. Just start. Doesn't mean you have to have clients yet, or you have to, maybe you're working a full-time job still. Great. Start. Because starting something, that's about for me, it's over 60% of the job, just starting, because that's all the emotional baggage and all the story that we were talking about earlier is preventing you. Like, I can't do it. I'm not worthy. I'm not ready. I don't have the right experience. All of the excuses that one can make for not starting. Once you do start, no matter how small of a productivity, quote unquote, that you have actually jumped from 0 to 60 like that. Mm. The last 40% is keep going. Keep going, bringing in other people, sharing your ideas, sharing your dream, being that gravity well, because you'll start drawing things into you. When you don't start and you focus on what you don't have, like I want this, but I don't have it, and I don't know what I'm going to do, I don't, eliminate the in apostrophe T words out of your vocabulary. The can'ts, the don'ts, all those. Say, well, how can? Ask God, ask the universe, or whoever you pray to, or maybe you don't pray, but just ask yourself, how can I do blah, blah, blah? And then start writing it down, even if it's out of your mentally or physically or perception of it, out of your physical means. You need to know what your next steps are. So write it down. I use a whiteboard. You probably see a whiteboard behind me. There's this whole room is actually whiteboards. So when I never use paper to write stuff down, I just get on my whiteboard and I go, all right, here's some notes. And I look at it for a while, like, well, that's not quite it. And I'll just let it sit there for a while. And then guess what? I can erase it if it's wrong, or I can change it if it's wrong and tweak it. And many of my ideas that are coming forth start on the whiteboard. And they're there. They're like the incubation lab chamber. So you've got to start and create an incubation lab chamber for yourself. Start using your imagination. Give yourself permission to imagine. That's key. Because if you can't imagine what it'll feel like and what it'll look like to be a successful entrepreneur, you won't be one. I'll just be blunt and honest about it. You've got to see yourself there. If you want to be a public speaker and you're in front of big crowds, you've got to imagine yourself there and the feeling you will have when you are on stage. Because that's when you start resonating with this future self of yours and start bringing it closer to you. And then you start bringing other people who can help you get there. It's kind of a interesting, I'll even call it magical type of thing that God and the universe kind of works together. But you have to go. You've heard the term like God helps those who helps themselves. Very true, because you have to start the intention process. You have to be the one that says, yeah, I want this. Because if you don't, all you're saying is, I want more lack. I want more non-business. I want more of this day-to-day job that I hate. Don't do that. Start focusing your attention on the things that you intend to create and the feelings associated with them, and that's going to start this process moving along. And I guess my last piece of advice for a budding entrepreneur is get a mentor. Get a mentor. Someone who can call you on your crap and at the same time love you in the same moment. Yes. And not just in a lovey-dovey, but also can give you the guidance, either from themselves for business or to send you to other people who have technical skills to help you along the way. But that mentor is going to give you the balance between your ethereal and your material sides. And they're going to show you, hey, this is where you fit, and I'm loving you and supporting you and keeping you accountable as you start and as you progress and as you grow. And I'm going to guide you where you need to go when you need to go. So get a mentor. They're really, really important. Whether you pay for it or not, make sure that person is fully vested in wanting to help you. Usually the best way to do that is to pay for one. I mean, I've paid for many mentors because at certain stages of my life, I've realized that I need somebody to kick my butt. I need somebody's boot in my rear end, and I need it now. So I would hire a mentor saying, help me with this. Keep me accountable. Let's brainstorm. Let's dreamstorm. Let's use our imagination, and they'll give me insight as well. And then I take advantage of that. And it has propelled my business in massive ways. So that would be my last suggestion.
Wonderful. Dan, that is incredible advice. Even, 7 years in business, and I can take that advice to heart as well. So thank you so much. Thank you again for being such an amazing person, for sharing your story and being so inspiring to lots of people.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate being here, and it's been fun sharing.
Yes. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.